Just back, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. The first order of business tonight is a proclamation for Stephanie Korn for her great work with Hands Up for Haiti. So I thought maybe first what I do is read the proclamation, and then we can do our fancy photo op. Whereas the historic village of Irvington is built upon the caring and empowering spirit of all its residents, and whereas in saving thousands of lives in a country that struggles to care for its citizens, Stephanie Korn has spearheaded a program that provides long-term care for adult Haitian patients and has helped equip local healthcare providers with easy-to-follow protocol and safe and inexpensive medications. And whereas the entire Village of Irvington community extends its heartfelt praise and thanks to Stephanie for her humanitarian work with Hands Up for Haiti, now therefore I, Brian C. Smith, serving as the mayor of the Village of Irvington, do hereby proclaim April 21st, 2017 as the day to celebrate Stephanie Korn. The April 21st, 2017 date is actually the date that you're going to be formally acknowledged, I guess, at a big gala event. So this is the build-up to it. But thank you for this, and thank you for all you do, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Next up is an announcement that there is a check over $25,000 for Allied World Specialty Insurance for Village Hall exterior. This is another phase of paying for the building and especially getting the scaffolding down.
Yeah, right.
I had one other announcement. As you know, we can talk about the budget tonight again, but one of the things that we weren't able to put back into the budget were the fireworks. There has been a pretty strong response to the potential of eliminating the fireworks. I think we've raised just over $15,000 so far. So if we get to that $20,000 mark, we'll be back with fireworks again on July 4th. So we are excited about that, and if you want to contribute, you can drop off checks with Brenda. You can contact me. Bob Grados has also been picking up checks, so you can contact any of us. We'll make sure it gets to the right place. And thank you to all those who have donated so far. Those are the only announcements I have. Mark?
Oh, I'm going to do my standard one? I don't know. Okay.
You don't have to.
I'm going to just say that, remember, where is it? I have two things. I'm not prepared tonight. First is ongoing, Slow Down Irvington. We have these armbands, leg bands, headbands, whatever, the dog collar bands that are reflective for nighttime and early morning for runners, dog walkers, and students and others. Available for free either at the upstairs in the administrator's office, downstairs at the police station, or at the rec center. And these are going fast, believe it or not. So grab one when you can. And the second one is we're starting to get into the season to use water, so look at your water bill. You probably got something enclosed. If you haven't gotten it yet, you'll get it in this month's. And it's a little brochure about being water wise. And it's really critical to think about at this time of this time of year. It's critical about the water usage, especially considering that people who have irrigation will see that their water bills typically double during the summertime based on compared to their base rate. So there are some ideas in the back that you can talk to your landscaper or your irrigation company about kinds of things you can do to reduce your water usage for the lawn. And that's that.
Thank you. Anyone else have announcements? Connie, looks like you have some.
Oh, I was going to save it for but it is like, the studio art tours go on every year in the spring, and this is the weekend coming up, and there are 7 artists in Irvington where you can walk around and visit their studios on Saturday and Sunday. And actually, there are more artists who are Irvington artists who are also in the building in Dobbs Ferry. So we have a lot of artists in this community, and this is one way to support their work and see their work. And these are online and in various places. It's River Arts. If you look under River Arts, you'll see that.
And also, Connie, to add in, both our library and the Hastings Municipal Building have what they call preview shows. They have art from each, one piece from each of the participants.
Whatever. We only have one artist here among the five of us. It's not Janice, it's not me, it's not Brian, and it's not Larry. But
I didn't participate in the show.
I did, but you are an excellent artist.
Thank you.
Anything else? Good. Next, we'll move on to correspondence. We have three pieces, all related to leaf blowers. The first one's from David Seller. I'm writing to thank the board for putting the leaf blower issue on the agenda for tonight's work session. That was last Wednesday. I'm unable to attend, but I'd like to record my support for the ordinances to be passed or to ban or severely limit their use in the village of Irvington. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, and due to my work schedule, I sometimes work from home, so we endure relentless noise and dust from landscaping crews during the daytime. We have two small children who can't play in the yard during many hours of the warmer months because of the noise and pollution of these landscaping crews' leaf blowers. Not what we pictured when we moved to the village a few years ago. Additional concerns with double parked landscaping trucks that routinely block one lane of traffic on Station Road, and the fact that the twice daily blowing has begun to erode. Twice weekly blowing has begun to erode the delicate hillside soils of the neighborhood. That's David Seller. The next one is from Caesar Manfredi, who's here. See how your words sound from my mouth, Caesar.
There was a typo in the first sentence, but good.
I'll see if
We'll get through it.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. The proposed leaf blower restrictions I guess you reviewed them, have been reviewed and briefly discussed with Mr. Schaffler. That's Larry. Thank you for all the continued exemption for snow removal as was requested by this writer last time around on this issue. However, there's now a total ban on leaf blower use during certain periods of the year. For a large property such as Half Moon South with over 1 mile of sidewalk, this total ban will be an issue. There will be times during the total ban periods that the sidewalks require cleaning of leaves and debris after a wind and/or rainstorm. With over 1 mile of sidewalk, it is not practical to hand sweep the walks as it might be at a private residence. Wet leaves and twigs on the sidewalk can be much as dangerous as ice, as can be for those walking in Half Moon South, especially our seniors. Please add a few hours of use, such as 9 a.m. to noon, during the current bad periods to allow for the walks to be cleared of rain, wind, storm debris. The alternative for Half Moon South would be to run the gas-powered lawn mowers over the sidewalks to clear the debris. The net result will be the same, meaning running a gas-powered motor, except that it would be much more convenient to run the leaf blowers instead of getting the lawn mowers out in the winter. Note, the running time of the leaf blower's smaller engine is much shorter than the running time of the larger mower. Plus, the mower cannot get to the locations, especially in front of the unit's doors. Thank you for your consideration for this one further exemption for the use of leaf blowers. Safety of residents should and must be a priority for us all. Caesar Manfredi, President, Half Moon South. Then Rick Rizzullo writes, Dear Mayor and Board of Trustees, I totally agree with Mr. Manfredi. We find ourselves using this method of snow and storm debris removal more than most would think. To further exacerbate our situation, we live on a fairly steep hill that has sidewalks that must remain clean at all times to allow for the safe movement by our residents. The residents of Irvington Gardens hope that you agree to this one additional consideration. Thank you. Rick Rizzullo, President of 128 North Broadway Tennis Corp. That was all we had for correspondence. And now we're open for public comment. The aforementioned Caesar Manfredi.
Good evening, Caesar Manfredi, President of Half Moon South on Buckout Street. First, I'm slowed down Irvington. I was just crossing the street here and someone had the kind sense to stop for me. And the guy behind me stood on his horn for 3 minutes. I don't know where that comes from, anyway.
We didn't say people couldn't honk, they said slow down, right?
I'm just wondering, is any reaction or any possibility of a further exemption for an hour or two during certain periods of the total ban, the current total ban period, so that we can clear our walks of
I definitely planning on discussing it, and I don't think anything's off the table.
Can I ask you, Caesar, just have you crews or crew looked into rechargeable blowers, and is it just not practical because the amount of coverage you've got?
I have an electric blower, it's like a hair dryer, you blow things.
No, but not the professional ones. We're talking about, getting one from a landscaper supply company that actually uses those, really powerful batteries that.
We haven't looked into it.
I don't know. I was just hoping someone would, maybe I'll try to look into it, because one of the things, they would be limited to the amount of time, but they do have those batteries that
I'm not sure if they're as powerful to get off a wet leaf, they stop to the sidewalk. I know I have an electric blower, and it, like I said, it's like a hair dryer.
I have one
It really
that's-
doesn't put it.
Yeah,
I have one that's corded, and you got to drag the cord around after you. So.
Well, a cord one is more of a problem than because it's a big property and there's no outlets outside, and I spent 10 minutes pacing the property to see how many feet or yards. So it is approximately a mile or a little bit.
Wow.
1,728 yards. My stride is about a yard.
I think we're gonna discuss this in whichever date we put it back on, and I think these are things that we need to discuss, so, I don't know if we know what is gonna be on the agenda, but,
Okay.
there definitely will be a discussion.
Carter, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Caesar, would it work if there were, an exception for post-storm, for cleaning post-storm?
Any kind of an exception would be good.
Because when I'm here,
Because the snow thing is coming.
because we've had, I've seen some post-storm exceptions in some codes. Would
Yeah.
that does it?
I happen to agree with the gist of the first letter of the mindless leaf blowing that goes on, all the time.
Chasing 4 leaves with 4 leaf blowers.
Yeah, and blows on the other guy's property, and it's just, most of it is mindless, but we like to, we pay for what we do, and it's not mindless, it has a purpose, and people don't want to walk. We get complaints when there's wet leaves on the thing, and our seniors have trouble.
Yeah,
It's an as-need thing, not twice a week I'm coming, and I'm gonna do it twice a week regardless.
Right. Right.
Whether you need it or not, you're getting it.
Yeah.
But would a storm exemption work in all cases? I mean, that's
I don't
the
know.
question. That's something to think about then, if there's other
Where
conditions.
there's debris of dangerous leaves or something like that.
Well, I think that there's 2 kind of really crazy extreme views that, you can never use them for anything, and then there's the ones that want to be able to have their giant ones that on wheels that you have 8 of them and pushing the 2 leaves.
Oh, those are crazy.
So, I think that between those 2, there's definitely a sweet spot, and I think we hope to reach that sweet spot where we're not making it impossible for people to maintain their yards, or
We
it's
do it
gonna
on an
cost twice
as-need,
as
like I
much.
said, the mindless twice a week, you're gonna get it whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
By the guy who comes twice a week, we don't have that situation.
Right, and I
that
think-
is mindless, and that is annoying, especially when they double park on Station Road, as the gentleman or
Sure.
87.
Yes, and I think too that the biggest issues are for the tighter packed in properties as well.
Yeah.
Which yours is kind of a little bit of both. There's a huge property and there's
We
also a
really
lot of
don't
people
have too
there.
many neighbors other than
Right,
Devil's Lane.
and I think, so to me, there's, I understand kind of, this River Park neighborhood is tough because there's all little lots, and, you're constantly blowing in your neighbor's yard, and, especially when you have the big crew with 8 guys, and they all have a blower.
Maybe an exemption could be talked about with the size of your property or where you're located, or, I don't know. But it's storm-related, it's something that can accommodate the once in a while use to get storm stuff off. And we don't go out every day with the blowers, trust me. We don't even go out once a week with the blowers.
Yeah,
It's
so that's.
totally as need.
So, I think we want to have the common sense approach and not be penalizing people who want to do the right thing either. So, I think it's, so yes, the short answer to your question is yes, we're going to discuss it some more.
Okay.
Speaking about double parking, by the way, I mean, I just noticed it just started this season. Some landscapers decided that they could double park on Harriman Road and take care of multiple properties along that strip, and I'm just waiting for them to get their truck sideswiped.
That's
It's
another-
not a safe place to.
Yeah,
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
no problem, thank you. Any other public comment?
We have the consent.
The consent agenda. Any questions or?
Nope.
I will make the motion to approve the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Now is the continuation of a public hearing to consider the 2017-18 operating budget.
Brian, do you think we could switch around to 18.7?
Sure.
Just for Mr. Root to see it?
You sure can.
Unless you want to sit through the budget discussion.
I didn't anticipate that being very long.
If I were
Yeah,
under
I think
10 years old, I don't think I would, but.
It's a public hearing, and there's no one here to be public.
True. Maybe we'll give people time to get here. So then we'll move on to number 8, elimination of 2 parking spaces on South Buckout Street.
So I would just, you may remember, if you monitored some of the emails in our consultation, I actually researched a little bit. I spoke with my daughter's boyfriend, who's a PhD economics student and soon to be a law student interested in public policy. Something just didn't sit right, and it wasn't logical, and I wasn't sure if I was missing something. He also teaches game theory, and I thought maybe there was something about competition for parking spaces and things of that nature. So at any rate, he assured me that there really wasn't anything to worry about. And I'm going to hand out for everyone
Just a deep conversation that talks
Oh,
about.
I like
his
this.
economics final for his class
Whoa.
that you can take a look at.
It's called Buckout Street parking.
This is not the entire final exam, so
Oh,
just
my
take a quick look.
God. Oh, we love this.
One from
That's
there.
We're a quaint village.
All right. So I apologize, it's 4 questions, and you don't really have to answer them, but I thought it was neat that that this is actually a question on the examination.
Whoa, give one to Mr. Root.
Yeah, give Mr. Roos a copy. Do we have another copy?
Yes, I'll give him my copy.
Wow.
And I have the answer to the questions. Larry, you might be the only one who knows the first question.
You're really putting me on the spot.
But he assured me it was strictly mathematical. He assured me that if you just did he had the formula and he ran through the formula.
All we need to know is number 13.
What are you saying, that it's good or bad?
He's saying it's absolutely fine to do. The answers are, if you're interested, A, D, A,
Oh my God, look at this mathematical formula.
ADAA.
Right, and really number 13 is the important question.
Yeah, 13, yes. His final exam is allowed these.
And 11 as well. So I just thought that was interesting. Mr. Rizzo, welcome to this.
I have never seen us approach another question in exactly this way.
So apparently the new thing in government is son-in-laws. So I guess.
I guess so. It took me a minute for that one.
Instead of voting, you just have multiple
Can we feed you some
How
other
about A and
pithy
B?
questions? We have some other pithy questions to solve that maybe you would like to opine on for us.
The thing about those kinds of solutions is, for any of us on the board, I'm afraid that we wouldn't know if we were being fed an incorrect answer, would we?
So,
So, it's a good way
so
to
the answer is yes.
manipulate government.
It helps.
I mean, I think the other-
don't know what the Pareto or the Cajor.
Take the course.
Yeah.
I think it was also nice to get some letters of support from the neighbors.
You'll drive it there.
Chief's waving at me. I think, I think too, we have to also remember we're not doing the final design. So, I think that the subtle change of approving up to 2 spots is interesting because of the planning board, which we always say is excellent, can kind of figure out a way to maybe only eliminate 1 and have a plan that fits both the property owner and the village. So be it. But that's my,
Up to 2, yes.
my
up
1
to
cent. I
2.
think that's maybe my 2 cents. Anyone else have any son-in-laws or anything that?
No, I just looked at it through a completely different prism, which was common sense and fairness. It's your property, and it seems that it's a net increase, net 2 additional parking spaces because 2 more cars will be going off the street. I don't think it's that all complicated. So,
You're- I'm happy with this. I think we looked at it with a lot of detail, with the drawings and everything, and the letters. It's a good thorough analysis, and I hope it, will help the neighborhood to some extent, and the family and those people who live in your building.
Great.
And thank you for working with us to get the letters.
So, another comment? I'll read this now. Whereas Roy and Jeannie Roots have requested the removal of up to 2 on-street parking spaces adjacent to 24 South Buckout Street in order to facilitate the construction of 4 on-street parking spaces on the property. And whereas the Board of Trustees has carefully studied the parking situation in the immediate area, solicited and considered the opinions of neighboring homeowners, and determined that the elimination of 2 public parking spaces is outweighed by the advantages of eliminating 4 cars from parking on the public street. Now therefore be it resolved to approve the removal of up to 2 on-street parking spaces adjacent to 24 South Buckout Street, provided the 4 off-street parking spaces are constructed as proposed and subject to site development plan approved by the planning board. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
We just have that, if you've got your plans ready, the deadline for the planning board for the May meeting is this Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
Yeah,
See.
and then after that, it'll be the next month.
Not only have to send out letters, because I was a little confused, because Scarsdale, they
Yeah, but they
approve it and
still-
then they mail letters to the neighbors, and I heard that you have
Well,
to
you
do
would,
that
if you've
before.
got your plan together, if you go to the building.
Yeah, they'll be able to help you.
They'll
They'll
help
be able to
Reach out, yeah.
mailing, so
Yeah, Sarah and the plant in the building.
my office can do that too. so.
I was just telling you that, not the process, but just if you were ready, the deadline's Wednesday.
Yeah, we actually got the drawings, they're in electronic format right now, it's just a matter of if I can get them to print them.
The building
If you-
department is right up there.
Yeah, if you get in touch with
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, if you get in touch with Sarah in the building
Sarah
department, she'll help you.
The last time I went in there, I think she mentioned like, well, you have to mail out, get a certified letters for anybody within 200 feet.
Yeah, and they can help walk you through that.
Okay, because I don't know if I have to do that before or after
Oh,
we
you
submit
have
it.
to-
Yeah, I'm not sure myself, to be honest with you, so.
The way she talked like it was before, and I'm not sure she knew.
And
Well, you cleared one.
please bring the kids back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so
Well, we're
much
thinking about
else.
getting the van, and that's another issue about on the street because of the width of the street. So, safety factor there. They're here only because my wife's had to take my mother-in-law.
Oh, my darling, I'm sure she-
They're very well paid.
Upstate.
They're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna be all alone again.
Yeah, for our public hearing, yeah.
All alone.
Without a parking
So,
Before they get
So I will quickly continue the public hearing, so we just have 3 people in attendance, even if 2 of them aren't at voting age.
Started young.
So I'm really glad we held it over, because we got so much more feedback. But I mean, I think it was, I guess it was just a responsible budget, and people weren't that concerned about it. I'll sum it up that way. But there were a lot of surprises, I think. It was a good, solid budget that we worked hard on, and we're, I think, very open about it, so. Anyone else wants to comment on the budget, other than to thank Brenda, her staff, and all the department heads for all their help?
Definitely.
Absolutely. This was a informative, thorough, clear process. Good result. Thank
Last
you.
chance for public comment. Otherwise, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second? All in favor? All right, let's pass the budget. Whereas the public hearing was duly advertised, opened on April 3rd, 2017, and continued on April 18th, 2017.
17. Oops, we'll fix that.
April, you're right.
Sorry.
Keep it open tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, right.
2017, and whereas the tax rate for 2017-18 shall be set at $7.80.8174 per $1,000, now therefore be it resolved to adopt the 2017-18 village operating budget with the following modifications from the filed tentative budget. Court salaries changed 6186.
What these reflect is the,
You don't have to go through all that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
yeah, that's right. No, what that's reflecting are the increases that were given not too long ago. So it's bringing it up to speed, where that money was in contingency prior, is putting it into the
It's
appropriate
putting it in the right
budget
place,
lines.
perfect.
So there's no net change in the budget.
All these.
No, maybe you just check and make sure you did all nets to zero counting. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Pass another budget. Ratification of collective bargaining agreement for the period June 1st, 2015 to May 31st, 2020 with Local 860 Village of Irvington Unit, CSEA Local 1000, AFS CME, AFL CIO.
So, so this is a 5-year agreement with the CSEA, which represents our public works and parks outside employees, full-time. The agreement provides for 2% raises in each of the 5 years, and it also includes some significant rollbacks of some benefits for newly hired employees going forward. And that's the basic summary of it without going into each individual item, but they're all there. And this was just recently ratified by the union itself today, as a matter of fact.
And more steps.
Yes, yeah, again, that's part of the
Spreading out
the savings involved with hiring new employees. Yep, that's the theme that we were following. I think we accomplished our goal.
Well, I'd like to thank Larry, who did all the heavy lifting on this, our labor attorney, and as well as the union representatives who worked, collaboratively with us. It was a longer process than we would have liked, but I think in the end, it's a contract that I think we're both pretty happy with, and I think it's pretty fair on both sides.
Agreed. Yeah, on the union side, Scott Brennan's the union president, Ken Master Pietro also negotiating as well. We're very easy to work with.
Larry, how many employees are under this union contract?
What are we at now?
Oh, I want to say 22.
22, yeah, it used to be up around 30. But
Right.
it's-
Because I assume some of these step 1, step 2, we might have more
I haven't
than
counted
one.
for sure. I think we counted 22 because we were thinking, exactly in the 22.
Yeah, there's, the steps only will apply to employees hired after the date of ratification, which is today, assuming you vote that way. And so the people that may be on the earlier steps will remain on the old step system.
So this is goes back to June 1st, 2015.
Yes.
Yeah. And then up to 2020, May 31st.
Yep.
Good?
Yep.
Resolved to approve a memorandum of agreement dated March 31st, 2017, in settlement of a collective bargaining agreement with the Local 1000 of the Civil Service Employees Association with a term of June 1st, 2015 to May 31st, 2020, and further resolved to authorize the mayor to execute a new collective bargaining agreement when prepared based on the aforementioned memorandum of agreement. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Approval of contract 2017-03 for landscape maintenance at the O'Hara Nature Center.
Pretty straightforward. This was talked about during the budget process. The board acknowledged and you were requested to have some additional landscape maintenance work done. It's a fairly small contract, but we wanted to make sure that we ran it past the board before awarding it. So there's a very wide range, as you can see. The bids were analyzed very closely by our landscape consultant in consultation with our Parks Department, and they do recommend the award of the contract to the lowest qualified bidder, which is Stromport LLC, and the amount of that is $8,850. And again, that actually leaves a little bit of room for materials and other things based upon the budget that was adopted. So
I think that number is lower than what.
it is. That's a good thing. Obviously.
We can get the bronze bust of the current mayor.
As opposed to the one done in peanut butter.
Which is delicious, but not long-lasting. Any questions on this? I think this is an exciting step. I think it is considerably lower than I feared. And as you said, gives us some wiggle room. And I think this is, unfortunately, I missed when the gardens were kind of in full bloom and gorgeous last year. The deer got there before I did, and but I heard it was almost kind of a breathtaking kind of thing. So hopefully we can get it back to that level, as well as in a form where it can be maintained by less than a horticultural all-star, and allow us to have another great spot to go and see some beautiful gardens, as well as learn from them.
Well, it sounds like the person who's getting the contract is kind of a horticultural
Yes.
whiz, which is going to be really good to try to figure out what needs to be done to resuscitate the.
Exactly, I think there'll be, and as well as also, we've learned from our mistake that we can't have it, be so technically impossible that no one else can ever maintain it. Like, we have to kind of, figure out a way to get it back, fix it, and then figure out a way to maybe simplify it a little bit.
I forget who it was, but in the I think it was in the late 70s, someone actually, a landscape architect, had a show at MoMA, I think it was, on the roof, and they, or one of the outdoor gardens, and they had all their show was plastic flowers, which, as you know, is low maintenance and deer proof.
Yes, so that's the backup plan. We're gonna have like that Willy Wonka edible garden, that's all candy. Any other comments on this? Otherwise, I can't wait for them to get started. Whereas the proposals were received on March 29th, 2017, at 11 a.m. at Village Hall as follows. They ranged from $7,250 to $48,400. I'm not going to read them all. They're in the record. Whereas the village administrator reviewed the proposal submitted and determined that the bid from SP&S Landscaping and Masonry is not responsive to the specification. And whereas the village administrator has determined that the second lowest proposal from Stromhort LLC is in order in response to the specifications, now therefore be it resolved that the proposal from SP&S Landscaping and Masonry Limited is hereby rejected, and further resolved to award contract 2017-03 for the landscaping maintenance of the O'Hara Nature Center in the amount of $8,850 to Stromhort LLC, and to authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor? Approval of non-union salary modifications.
These are just a couple of additional stragglers, although I don't want to refer to our village justice as a straggler, but
Considering the way he was
but I guess I just did, yeah.
I hope he's only getting
Do you think you're gonna get raised by putting that up there?
I guess he needs something so he can buy some pass.
He can buy his own bottle of water now. Anyway,
Just again, some minor follow-ups.
resolved to modify the annual salaries and hourly rates effective on the dates shown below. Effective June 1st, 2015, crossing guard, $26.60 an hour, theater part-time labor, $16.81 an hour, and village justice, $20,400 a year. And then on June 1st, 2016, crossing guard goes $27.13 an hour, theater part-time labor, $17.15 an hour, $17.15, yeah, and senior office assistant, $65,109 annually, and village justice, $20,808 annually. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor? Approval of amendment to the service award plan for the volunteers of the Village of Irvington Fire Department Benefit Pension Plan.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
So this is something that, when the fire department was in a year ago for the prior year budget, they had asked for an increase in the service award that paid $5 more per service year, up to $25 per service year. So the board agreed at that time, but this is now an official amendment to the adoption plan.
So we're kind of making,
Service-
making
it's official.
official what we decided to do a year ago. Any questions about this? Be it resolved to accept the amendment to the service award plan for the volunteers of the Village of Irvington Fire Department Benefit Pension Plan effective January 1st, 2016. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? I think that's fine that I voted on that, even though I'm technically covered by it, right? Should
Yeah, I would abstain.
I'm abstaining, so can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And one abstention. Approval of Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps Service Award listing for 2016. There's much to say here.
Yeah, so pretty straightforward. You did this for the fire department. This is for the ambulance corps now. This is their listing of points for the year 2016, which you're being asked to approve so that it can be processed accordingly.
There's a-
Right.
Yeah. Resolved to approve the 2016 service listing for the volunteers of the Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps to be used for the length of service award plan. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Resolved.
I mean, I don't know how we double check it anyways, so.
Yeah, I mean, we make sure that the maximums are being adhered to.
Yeah.
There's very specific guidelines on, you can't earn all your points just in going to meetings, you have to have certain.
Right, it's gotta be
certain
spread around,
categories,
right.
So we do all that verification, so you don't have to, basically.
Thank you.
Appointment of fire department officers. The annual meeting was held, I guess it was April 5th, I believe, Larry? Recently, anyway.
Yes, yeah.
And now we're officially appointing them. Any questions on this, really? Resolved to appoint the following officers to Irvington Fire Department for a one-year term. Anthony Tarragone, Fire Chief. Joseph Trauma, First Assistant Fire Chief. David Dowd, Second Assistant Fire Chief. Daniel Billings, Lieutenant. Patrick Colantuno, Lieutenant. Andrea Lamberti, Lieutenant. And Stephen Magicotti, Lieutenant. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Is that for 1 year or 2 year?
This is a one-year term, it looks like. It's an annual vote. So they typically, they stay in the position for 2 years.
And then they release it, so
But
they.
technically, it's an annual vote. It's kind of more, the 2 year is kind of more tradition than they have people stay in longer.
Yeah, get a lot of people experience doing the different roles.
Exactly right. And I think this must be like at least the third time Anthony's been chief.
Yes.
Some people would say like a bad penny, but no, he's great. There seems to be, I mean, it's the position of fire chief and the assistants is such a huge time suck. You know, it makes mayor look like a rounding error. They have more paperwork and it's 24/7. So we're glad we have 3 qualified people who are all younger than me, by the way.
Well, Anthony is my son's
Yeah,
age,
he's 1
so-
year younger.
1 year
Yeah,
younger.
it still counts.
1 year.
It still counts. I think he has already, I think he's what, he's 41, and I think he has something like 24 years of experience in the fire department, something like that.
Wow, yeah.
The next item is support of state legislation for tanker avoidance zones.
Yes.
This is kind of the ongoing vigilance on the potential for the Coast Guard to approve, kind of a parking lot on the Hudson River, to put it as simply as I can. But I guess we're joining many other municipalities and other organizations in asking the state legislature to act on this.
Right, because it's a particular assembly bill now. I think it wasn't that.
Right, we just passed a resolution, so now there's,
In theory, and now we're supporting
So we're
specific
making
legislation
progress.
to try to do something here.
And that, what they're doing is trying to make sure the state has a voice in the decision process, which if you read it closely right now, it's questionable whether they actually can.
It seems like
Be considered to have a
Coast Guard just can do whatever they want, pretty much.
So, did anyone, on this topic, before we get off of it, I think it was, well, I'm pretty sure it was in one of the local papers, they had a discussion of what, a compromise that was.
Yes, I
being
read
talked
about that.
Was that in the Enterprise, or which
I
one was
think
it?
so, yeah.
This week's issue. It was
And
kind of-
only emergencies and only for 72 hours, but,
Yeah, only for
there
storm
was-
emergency, at least
Seems
for,
reasonable.
except you really want your tankers parked along the coast
During an emergency.
during a storm emergency when you have the highest, I mean, I like the fact that they're not just parking them there until they can arbitrage the cost of the cargo out,
Right.
you know? But you still wonder about if you want to take the risk of, repolluting all these areas that have been, so much time, money, and consideration has gone into to keep them, to try to bring them back to a more, I don't want to say a pre-industrial condition, because you never can get back there, but at least to a
That's
safer,
in the last
cleaner
40 years.
position. Yeah.
50 years.
more pristine.
Yeah, I think too, some of it is what constitutes an emergency. Like if you hear a hurricane's coming next Thursday, you still send out your boats on Wednesday versus, a quick blowing storm that you have to, quickly anchor or something, it's almost, again, the devil will be in the details, right? It's,
As always.
yeah.
anyways, I'm actually very glad we are speaking up on this. I think I'm sure, I haven't been keeping track, but like it was like last time, a lot of the villages are speaking up.
Yes. I think this is something that has brought together all political bents and all
Up
sides.
and down the river.
Up and down the river, from Yonkers at least to, I don't know how far up, but
Poughkeepsie.
pretty far.
Yeah.
Maybe further. Well, good, this is a good chance for me to practice my reading skills again. Whereas, the U.S. Coast Guard is currently considering a proposal to establish new anchorage areas along the Hudson River between Yonkers and Kingston, I guess that would be our areas. And whereas the village of Irvington is home to a beautiful and vibrant Hudson River waterfront, which the integrity of are threatened by the U.S. Coast Guard's proposal, and whereas the village of Irvington has documented its concerns about the anchorage of petroleum-carrying tankers, including disrupting the economic vitality of the waterfront, endangering drinking water supplies, damaging fish habitat, and detracting from scenic beauty and quality of life along the river, refers to our resolution we passed in 2016. And whereas the New York State Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett has introduced Assembly Bill A06825, which would enable New York State agencies to consider environmental impacts in designating tanker avoidance zones. And whereas New York State Senator Sue Serino has introduced the same measure in the Senate as Bill S05197, and whereas this proposal will enable New York State to take a stronger role in controlling the placement of any anchorage areas for petroleum-carrying vessels to ensure that the needs of the Hudson River and waterfront communities are protected, now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Irvington expresses its strong support for Assembly Bill A06825 and Senate Bill S05197. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second? All in favor?
And we should note that in the supporting stuff online for the minutes of this meeting, our previous 2016 resolution, which has a lot more detail of the issues for those who aren't up to speed, be worth scanning through if you're trying to get a short primer on what's up.
Excellent. And this is another example, I think, of local voices, and I guess not so, some non-local voices really being heard on an issue that potentially we wouldn't really have much say over. I mean, as a village, you wouldn't have any say over it, but even the state didn't have much say over it. But I think that it's just again, it shows kind of the power of organizing, and I think that Mayor Spano and Yonkers did a great job kind of organizing all the elected officials. He's had a bunch of meetings, and been able to attend some of them, and they've been very well attended, and I think it's been very well organized. And there's some outside agencies as well, Riverkeeper being one that's front of mind. That's done a great job.
Yeah, Historic Hudson River Towns
Yep.
keeps up to date.
Exactly. I get a lot of my information from him.
Yeah.
Next is filming permit for Ripple Road Entertainment for filming at 76 Dogwood Lane.
Okay, this is as straightforward as they come. This is an entirely inside interior shoot. There are no large trucks. There's no catering operation. It's a reality, day in the life type film for a food company, and on healthy eating, I guess, is the topic.
So no gunfight.
I'm sorry.
Food fights, but no gunfights.
Yeah.
Very limited explosion.
So really, there's no logistics involved with this. Right? Just a few passenger vehicles with people. And in fact, when I asked about the craft services, food catering, where was that going to take place? They said we're probably just going to have lunch at their table. So, with the family. So,
That's reality.
so yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Resolved to approve a filming permit for Ripple Road Entertainment, Inc. for filming at 76 Dogwood Lane on April 27, 2017, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for a permit fee of $1,000. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Reports of boards, standing committees, and officers. Trustee liaison reports.
Well, there is going to be, from the Tree Commission, there's going to be a tree planting done in conjunction with the DPW and with Care of Trees, right?
Yes.
On, help me out, the 28th, is it?
28th.
Friday, the 28th.
9:30 a.m.
At North Ferris Street, which is right outside here. We're going to be replacing a lost pear tree with something interesting that can fit into a narrow space. So stay tuned. Also, they're going to be giving out saplings, I think, at the closest farmer's market to that day, which would be is that Saturday or Sunday following?
The one coming up, the last one in April would be this Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's where they're
Yes.
giving out, if I remember correctly, giving out some oak saplings.
Saturday is the
22nd.
And plant an oak, you'll be happy. And what else? We're still waiting for final details about the video PSA contest for high school and junior high school kids from the traffic committee. I think we're meeting sometime later this week to try to finalize that. And I'll give you more news as soon as we know.
Excellent.
The new 2017 Dogs on Leash program for Matheson Park will begin on May 8th, 2017, and run through December 31st. The Dogs on Leash program is for village residents only and only for Matheson Park. You must register your dog for the program at the Recreation and Parks Department, and that registration will start April 25th. A valid Greenberg dog license for your dog is needed to register. If you've been registered already in the pilot program, you're welcome to continue to use the park with the permit until the start of the new program, and then we would ask you to re-register. The CAB is meeting tomorrow morning, and the CAB will be involved with Eileen Fisher Learning Institute holding their color run this Sunday, April 23rd. There will be some road closures in the morning and a delayed opening for both Scenic Hudson and Matheson Park. Day camp information is now available, and early bird registration will start this Wednesday, the 19th. The Woods Committee has two major events on the schedule. Spring in Nature Day will be on Saturday, May 13th from 11 to noon. And the Wine and Cheese fundraiser will be on Sunday, June 4th from 5 to 7 p.m. Next RPAC meeting is Wednesday, the 19th. The Irvington Woods Committee meets Thursday, the 20th. The FACE Committee is meeting as we speak. And that's about it.
What was the date of the wine and cheese again?
Wine and Cheese is Sunday, June 4th, starting at 5.
Oh my God, run, double check. Is that it?
That's it.
So the theater, on Saturday, starting at 7:30, they're very popular all shorts. It's the short films that are submitted, and there are many different ones, and some of them are having their national first time showing at this. So that's as a place to send in your new movie short, it's becoming a popular place to submit. So a lot of people go to that, having an after party at some restaurant to be announced. So that's Saturday at the theater. Sunday, it's all sold out, but you might have heard the kids out there that they're doing this show on Hamilton.
Hamilton's of
Sunday.
Irvington, yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very talented kids. Sunday
managed to-
afternoon and Sunday evening.
I managed to swing an obstructed view seat. That was all that was left by the time I went to try to get a seat.
I know.
So I'll be behind the pole, but
Just like the
They're
road,
going
you
anyway.
make the tickets.
Okay, well, maybe there'll be a little scalping out there. They were free.
It's on
They
StubHub.
were
It's on
free.
And step up for $200, definitely.
But I mean, it's great. The kids have been working really hard, and we just saw Scott Mosenthal out there. He's been working with the kids, and Pat Ryan and others, and it's amalgamation of the arts, the schools, and the history. As we all know, the Hamiltons were well represented down in the Columbia property. Alexander Hamilton's son built that. Yes, good. Nevis is the name of it.
And that's the island where Alexander was born.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. So it's we've become the Hamilton Center in the Hudson Valley. That's okay. Also, there was a great program last week, and it was a what's called the stage door performance by playwrights who are having their plays read aloud, not acted out. So the playwright is there and you get to talk back to the playwright. Very fascinating play. And there were more than 70-some people there, so they had a really good showing. And it's a kind of playwright that I think he really liked being there, so he might have a relationship, who knows, with the theater. So there's a lot of variety of things there. If you don't get the theater's, notices, you can go on the Village website and book right into the theater. We talked about the farmer's market, and of course the Historic District Committee is continuing to work away on their relationships of the new document that we will probably be seeing in May, the Irvington Historic District Guide and Recommendations. We expect to have the committee come here in May at a work session.
It's time for the paint to dry on that thing.
Yeah, I know.
You're becoming
These things are-
historical now.
These things are really hard to get right. But as an aside, our comprehensive plan working group had our last meeting at the Octagon House with Mr. Lombardi, and he was able to look over the guide, and he was very impressed with it. So there's a lot of work that's gone into it. So that's my report.
The only thing I want to report is that I heard from the Green Policy Task Force that indeed they do have a new chair, and I'm going to apologize here, I am blanking on her name,
MJ?
MJ.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I apologize, MJ.
Okay.
Anyway, so that is very good news, and I'll be following up with them. It would appear that the main project they want to work on is continuing the recycling coordination with the school, and we have to decide how much of that is really within their portfolio. Thank you, that's the word I was looking for, in terms of the village.
Right, I think that's the most critical thing that I've felt over the last few years, is that the original goals have become kind of diffused, and we need to try to talk about maybe we need to invite her in and we can talk
I think it would be
more
excellent.
interactively about what we're expecting or need to have from a group like that.
Okay.
Good idea.
Excellent. Village Administrator's report.
Just a clarification, do you want to do that as a full board or as a subgroup?
It might be
It'd be easier to do it as a subgroup.
easy to do it as a subgroup. I wouldn't mind spending, a small slot of time at a work session and do it
Talk about the
then.
goals.
Yeah, just so everyone can hear them and agree.
Yeah, and I think it would be helpful to have input from, especially the new board member, just about is this what we all agree should be the goals at this point going forward.
At a work session.
That was your report?
No.
That was a question.
No, just a quick report on the electric vehicle that we own now.
Yeah.
The police department now has a new parking enforcement officer's vehicle. It is a Nissan Leaf, which is a fully electric vehicle. We purchased it through a New York State mini bid for a price in the range of $22,000, which is about $11,000 less than what the regular price is.
That's a good price.
Yeah, exactly. No, you can't have one. And we also are eligible, and I think was approved for a $5,000 rebate through the New York State DEC. We got the paperwork in just in time. So it's all in all, and it was using money that was unspent from previous police car purchases.
Great.
So it's a win-win.
Wow, so 11 minus 5 with the grant? 11,000.
22 minus 5,
22
17.
minus 5.
So it's 17.
22 minus 5, and then a little bit of equipment that has to go
Oh,
in it,
okay,
so,
okay.
yeah. That's it.
And you have a charger, it just plugs into the house current, right?
We're just using house current right now, yeah. We might do something different, more permanent. We're kind of waiting for the alleyway to free up over there on the side of the building as one alternative.
Good work, good
I
work.
know the code modernization subcommittee is going to be asking for some
charging stations.
Yeah, to be in the, the idea of, as the transition continues over time, post the current Washington administration, it's clear that the long-range trend is going to be toward electric vehicles and,
Village Clerk Treasurer's Report. Basking in your budget glove. Village Attorney's Report, also basking in the budget's glove. Okay.
I have a glow.
Brenda's sharing.
Public comment, would someone like to sing a song or something?
To bring the Hamilton kids down.
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
Review of action items, Larry?
Just the last one that you came up with the Green Policy Task Force for a work session, that'll be on my list. And I do have a request for the board to go to executive session for a police personnel matter.
I will make
Can
the
I ask one
motion.
question, Larry? That
Sure.
Something that came up, and now, you know how things go. Sometimes things go on for so long, I might have forgotten exactly where it stood. But when we were talking about the contract for the care at the Nature Center, it made me start to think about, where did we leave the water quality contract? Weren't we trying to get a RFP or a contract proposal out about that?
This is to,
Start to tell us what we need and then how
Yes.
to implement.
the contract was awarded.
Okay, I forgot that part.
Yeah, that's okay. And the field work started, I want to say late March, it's in my little spreadsheet, but it started late March, I think. So they did their first round, they're doing a series of tests, and then, they'll be reporting back.
Oh, so and then we were looking like for a fall report back?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I can go back and pull the paper.
No,
up,
but I
that's-
think
that's
that's-
roughly the
yeah.
idea, yes.
All right, thank you. I told you I dropped a couple bits on that one.
No,
I realize I didn't have anything from Greg or Jim English, but that might have gone to Karen and.
oh, yeah, but I usually get copied on it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, so.
Well,
Okay, so,
They
Well,
sealed up the street up at Park and Harriman.
okay.
That was a pretty extensive issue for a while.
Yeah, but that's Con Ed though, working on that, I believe.
Wasn't it a water main?
It was, but there was gas right next to it, and as soon as that happens, they take over the entire excavation.
Oh.
So we did our water repair, and then they've been fixing the gas
Oh,
line.
so that's why it took so long.
Yeah.
I didn't say
You
that.
would have had it done in the middle of the night.
Well, they did, in fact. I mean, the water was stopped pretty quickly.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, they were on it, and it wasn't a small line either.
Okay.
So I make the motion, second,
Executive session,
all in
yeah.
favor?
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
Seconded.